we hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men are created equal. That they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Welcome to For Liberty's Sake. My name is Eric Thompson out here in California. Thank you so much for joining me here on Labor Day, September 6th, 2021. If you ever want to get a hold of me, you can email me at eric@forlibertiessake.com, Eric, E-R-I-C, @forlibertiessake.com, or check out my social media platforms, magabook.com or twellet.com. Or just search around for Liberty, For Liberty's Sake, or wherever you download your podcast, and I think you'll be able to find our show, For Liberty's Sake. I do this daily to give you information on issues that can affect your liberties and to give you solutions, not just give you a lot of information pertaining to, in the last 10 minutes this happened, and 20 minutes ago this happened, and 30 minutes. And what I can see, looking from the world into the U.S., there's something called the Great Reset I'm going to start with. And think of the Great Reset, which has been going on coming out of the World Economic Forum, where they meet over in Davos, Switzerland, where you get the super rich or the powerful. And they get together and they kind of figure out how should things go globally. And over the years, I've run into people, conspiracy people, they call them New World Order, globalization, and people like me that are Christians. Well, there is going to be a New World Order. And then you see this kind of the divides, and then people going into left field, QAnon and all this. But one thing we know for sure is that Joe Biden is a disaster. Joe Biden is narcissistic. I think he's a psychopath. His mind is going. It's the same things that we could see during the 2020 campaign, 19 and 20. Yet Joe Biden supposedly won the election. And starting on January 20th, he started to sign executive orders. And then we soon found out who was giving him the direction. Who was he consulting with? But under all this was still COVID. The Great Reset is very open about their goals of wanting. They basically say that the COVID-19 lockdowns and pandemic killed capitalism, and that the World Economic Forum through the Great Reset was going to use all of the pain and suffering and the downturns in economies. They were going to use that as the catalyst to get the world to agree to reset everything. Reset the way the world lived according to the pseudoscience of global warming, climate change, banking, economies, income distribution, stakeholder ownerships. And I'm gonna start out with this on this is what the people in power around the world are thinking. And then when we get to Biden, we're gonna look at the terrible first 8 months of Joe Biden, who, by the way, it's Labor Day. He's on vacation again. And when we go through what's going on in the world, for example, 6 planes with American citizens and Afghanis with the correct visas who were left behind while the Biden administration was bringing in unvetted Afghanis to distribute them throughout the world without the visas. Well, those planes are not being allowed to leave State Department's not letting them. The planes leave. And then there's a growing consensus it's because the Taliban is holding them hostage for ransom. Well, Biden's on vacation. Where's Kamala Harris? And the State Department says, we don't have the ability to verify what's going on with those airplanes. Well, wait a minute. You guys aren't letting them leave. So when we get to Biden and the fallout and everything else, keep in mind that the United States, according to these people, is not going to be, in the end, a unique superpower. And that would be fine with them. And part of the process as we go through this video here, I'm going to play a video, but I'll stop and give you a little bit of commentary. Is you're gonna understand that they think the COVID-19 is going to allow this to happen, and you can form your own opinion as we go along. So here we go. This is from the World Economic Forum's YouTube channel, The Great Reset.
The pandemic has radically changed the world as we know it. And the actions we take today as we work to recover will define our generation.
Now is the time to think what history would say.
This is Kristalina Georgievna, Managing Director, International Monetary Fund.
About this crisis.
2020 has been challenging on a lot of levels, as economic, environmental, and societal frailties have been laid bare. But it's also proved that when we need to, we can act rapidly and restructure our lives.
The recovery from the pandemic is an opportunity. We can see rays of hope in the form of a vaccine, but there is no vaccine for the planet. Nature needs a bailout.
That's Antonio Guterres, UN Secretary General. There is no vaccine for COVID-19, but the world needs a bailout. The planet needs a bailout. What?
You don't want to go back to the status quo that you had before simply because it was the status quo that got us here.
Okay, so what is he talking about? This is Angel Guerra, Secretary General of the OECD. We don't want to go back to the most successful economic time in American history. Why? When in America and countries that were thriving under capitalism, why don't we do that? Oh, because the planet. Because there's poor people in the world, so we don't want to go back to what it was before the world was forced or volunteered to lock down.
That got us here.
With everything falling apart, we can reshape the world in ways we couldn't before. Ways that better address so many of the challenges we face. And that's why so many are calling for a great reset. A great reset? That sounds more like buzzword bingo masking some nefarious plan for world domination. Hands up, this kind of slogan hasn't gone down well. But all we really want to say is that we all have an opportunity to build a better world. And it's not surprising that people who've been disenfranchised by a broken system and pushed even further by the pandemic will suspect global leaders of conspiracy. But the world's not that simple.
Actually, it is. So what they're doing is because the people can see that there's something going on here, they're going to try to say, don't look behind the curtain. Remember the Wizard of Oz? They get in the door and then just, I am the Oz, oh, and then the dog runs over and they move the curtain and there is a guy pulling the levers and screaming, don't look behind them, don't look at that man. That's what they're doing here. Well, yes, the Great Reset hasn't gone well and people can see what we're talking about, what we're up to, but it's not really what's going on because the world's not that simple. So just quit looking, don't look at what we're doing over here.
Every one of us has differing priorities, values, and ideas. That's part of why solutions are so hard to come by, and why we all need to be involved in the decision-making. Because whether it's politicians, CEOs, academics, activists, or you, We're all about getting people together, even those you may not like, to sit down at the table and develop solutions that work for all of us. But
we need enormous trust between the private sector and the public sector for this to actually work. That
trust in the private sector and the public sector. So in other words, if the people would just trust the governments and the corporations, if they would just trust them to come up with the solutions, then things could change. Just the people just need to quit being loving America, loving this country, being a communist in China. All these different worldviews, different goals, different long-term agendas, different religions. If the people would just acquiesce to the corporations and the governments, and even though you can't stand somebody online, you can't stand their tweets, and if the people would just give way, then the Great Reset could just fix everything, says Ajay Banga, the CEO of MasterCard.
trust is hard to come by.
it's time for people to work together, listen to each other, and build this trust so we can move towards a better world. And we really need one. Because while the pandemic affects us all, it's clear it affects some more than others.
The first people who are hit are the people at the front, those who are vulnerable. It is those on the front line who take it first, and that is simply unacceptable.
See, at the start of 2020, 1% of the world's population owned 44% of the wealth. And since the start of the pandemic, billionaires have increased theirs by more than 25%, whilst 150 million people fell back into extreme poverty. And with climate change set to dwarf the damage caused by the pandemic, the message from 2020 should be abundantly clear.
Capitalism, as we know it, is dead. This obsession.
Capitalism, as we know it, is dead. This is why the Great Reset is underway, and they believe that they will complete it. This is Mark Benioff, the CEO of Salesforce. So capitalism, the way it was working, is dead. Somebody has an idea, they have a little bit of money, they take a risk, they start a business, the business actually starts to work, their product or service is needed by the population, so they go ahead and support them, buy the phones, buy the pizza, whatever, and it grows, and then they hire more people, give raises. If they get big enough, they go ahead and go public. They sell stock. The stockholders then can benefit from the growth and success of the corporation. And in the end, a lot of people benefit from the idea of a person. But no, there's some people who didn't buy the stock, and there's some people that didn't go to college, and there's some people that made mistakes, and some people that, yes, didn't grow up under good circumstances. Well, that's not fair. So what we need to do, they're going to go over, is we need to go from a stockholder position to stakeholder positions. And when you hear it, what this means is if you buy stock for $1 and it ends up going to $5 and you get a 25-cent dividend, you make money quarterly or annually, plus when you sell your stock, you make money off of what a business did, nothing that you did that affected it. But in a stakeholder ownership, anybody that has anything to do with the product or a service put out by a company. So, for example, McDonald's has Big Macs and hamburgers, and it goes through marketing, supply chains, all the way down to the local restaurant. The guy cooking the burger gets put in to the hands of a customer. They eat it. Because that person bought the product, they should have a say. As a stakeholder, they have a stake in what that company is doing, McDonald's. So they should have a say on how McDonald's should invest in global climate change issues, how they should invest in and force in social justice training and classes. So that they want. Mark Benioff, Salesforce, and World Economic Forum Group wants to go from people who invest in corporations as stockholders, and they want to say that everyone that has anything to do with a product or service from a corporation is a stakeholder and should have a say.
That we have had with maximizing profits for shareholders alone has led to incredible inequality and a planetary emergency.
But no one can do this alone, and top-down approaches won't get us anywhere, because everything we've learned in our work has shown us that diverse voices lead to better results. And it's for these reasons that the forum talks about something called stakeholder capitalism, which would shift businesses away from just profit. Because
if we want to change where the focus of our recovery will go, then we need a new dashboard for the new economy. And that needs to encompass people, planet, prosperity, and institutions.
Giving people a real stake in the economy and putting well-being before growth. And that's all about getting the right people in the right place at the right time.
We must rebuild our relationship with nature.
This is Hindu Amuruzu Ibrahim, an indigenous rights activist. So if the world's going to reset and be corrected, then the people must get in more touch, and the governments must be more in touch with the environment.
For the survival of the peoples and our planet.
We have a window of time which is closing, and we need everybody who cares to get together and find solutions now.
It's the people who have great ideas and who share them with others. They're the ones who are shaping the future. So if you want to be a part of the change, then tune in, turn on.
So there you go. That is the Great Reset, and it gets a lot more complex when it comes to how they're working to force these public-private partnerships and coming up with an ESG score. But I want you to know that as a foundation to this is the pressure that's getting put on governments, getting put on financial institutions that are working with BlackRock Financial, who is setting new scores called an ESG on, well, if we're going to give money to Chase Bank and into corporations like McDonald's or Walmart, etc., and corporations that are coming up that need funding, they're going to be rated not on their Dun and Bradstreet score. We're going to evaluate them on how are they doing with their corporate influence on environmental climate change issues. How is that corporation dealing with social justice issues, and how are they working with the government to push forth global change? That's what we'll rate them on, is their ESG score, which then what happened in Atlanta when they thought that because Georgia passed election reform laws, they said, well, then those are racist laws. And because Georgia's tainted, then Major League Baseball said, well, then we're going to move the All-Star game out of Atlanta. And the corporations agreed with it. Delta and all them. Yeah, you can't have the All-Star game here in Atlanta now because Georgia's a racist state. And so Delta and all them said, yes, Coca-Cola. They all jumped on board. Hey, we're here. We agree. Give us, World Economic Forum, BlackRock, all you guys. Okay, give us some credit because we stood up for social justice. Ding, ding, ding. So our score should have gone up, our ESG score. Hi, this is Eric Thompson with For. So I want you to keep in mind with, as we go through Biden here, that the White House is basically saying globalism. America needs to reduce down. We need to deconstruct capitalism. I think we're going to connect some dots. So thank you again for joining me. My name's Eric Thompson. I'll be right back.
I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com right now to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you can get my premium MyPillows, regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, the lowest price ever.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Name one time in history where the people who banned books, media, and opinions were the good guys. Hi, I'm Eric. I'm the world's youngest Bitcoin millionaire. I made it in Silicon Valley, and I've accomplished a lot in my life already. But now, I'm leaving big tech to fight for free speech. Because the big tech overlords are violating your privacy, censoring your speech, and I think that's so wrong. That's why I created the Freedom Phone and its uncensorable app store. Everyone is complaining about big tech censorship, but no one is doing anything about it. They say, build your own phone. So I did. Freedom Phone truly is the best phone in the world. It does everything your current phone does, except censor you and spy on you. With the Freedom Phone, your freedom of speech is our #1 priority. That's why we built our own app store that is completely uncensored. If an app you love has been banned from the mainstream app stores, you can still download it on ours because we don't ban apps, period. And we've developed the first operating system based on your free speech. There's no app tracking, no keyboard tracking, and no location tracking because I believe in your security. How do we ensure you're being protected? Say hello to Trust. Trust is our privacy guard. It's designed to warn you whenever an app or a website is tracking you and gives you the option to stop it. Your data, your rules. That's our motto. The Freedom Phone is comparable to the best smartphones on the market. It has an edge-to-edge screen, a super fast processor, and multiple cameras. And your SIM card transfers into the Freedom Phone seamlessly. Big tech companies hold a monopoly on public communication and the dissemination of information, and they are abusing that power. Nobody elected Mark or Jack to be the arbiters of truth in America, yet they still thought it was okay to ban a sitting president from their platforms. If they censor a president, they will censor anyone. Imagine if Mark Zuckerberg censored MLK or Abraham Lincoln. The course of history would have been altered forever. Out of all the constitutional amendments, there's a reason why the Founding Fathers made the right to free speech the very first. I believe you have a voice that deserves to be heard without being censored. Protect yourself from big tech censorship. Let your voice be heard. Live free with the Freedom Phone.
So much for staying with me. This is For Liberty's Sake, and we're plowing through here our Labor Day podcast. All right, so we just went through the Great Reset. Maybe new to you, may not have been new to you, but I wanted to set the foundation because there's a lot behind, I think, how Joe Biden got in office. Now, last year, right after Barack Obama got in office and he started signing a lot of executive orders, there was kind of like, boy, Joe's just sign happy. And a lot of things Joe was signing, and a lot of people Joe Biden was surrounding himself with, reminded people of Barack Obama, his policies. I've played a soundbite several times, and I'll do it again in the future. But if you look up, was it Coben? The late night guy, Steve and Colbert, whatever. Yeah. Colbert was he interviewed Barack Obama before Biden was sworn in, and he basically said, Obama said, well, I would have liked a third term if I could have just had somebody sitting in for me, and then they put a headphone on or earpieces, and then I would speak to them via the microphone, and they would do what I want. I would be okay with that because I really don't like the day-to-day stuff. And then Joe Biden started acting like and signing executive orders like Barack Obama was doing exactly that. Well, if we go back to the New York Post on March 22nd, 2021, so right after Biden's arm was recovering for signing a bunch of executive orders, the ones that reversed everything that President Trump had done to put back in place what Barack Obama had done. This article here was from Kenneth Garger. Biden regularly speaks and consults with Obama, the White House says. This was March 22nd, 2021. He said President Joe Biden regularly consults with President Barack Obama, speaking with him on a range of issues. The White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki agreed and said that yes, that's true. Psaki, responding to a question from a reporter, said Biden and the former president, quote, keep in regular touch, unquote. Did not specify exactly how often the pair speak to one another, Fox reported. Quote, they consult and talk about a range of issues. And I would expect that continues through the course of President Biden's presidency. She continued, that can be done over the phone, it turns out. And I think if President Obama had been here, you would all know, unquote. So throughout the presidency, Obama is speaking. She said would probably happen through the presidency, where Obama would be speaking and consulting and discussing issues with Joe Biden. You remember one of the first things that Barack Obama did when he became president? He went to Europe to apologize for the United States. And now you have Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, doesn't like to leave the basement, goes home, I think 16 times now since he's been president, but won't tell the world who's visiting or calling while he's there. Because we know Joe's on vacation again today. I think this is actually Barack Obama's third term as being influenced by the Great Reset. And that's why they're going to continue to push the Mu Delta variant, COVID variant that they're worried about, and the Delta variant that they're worried about, and putting masks on people and the vaccines and poking people and getting them to hate capitalism and for equity and pushing. Let's close down the Keystone Pipeline after Biden got in office, but then let's allow the pipeline to flow from Germany and Europe up to Russia. That makes sense. Let's redistribute wealth. Let's leave Afghanistan before our citizens leave. And then our government will try to go back in and get some. But then they take out a bunch of people from Afghani nationals, not a lot of Americans who weren't vetted. Well, this is all part of, from Breitbart, the summer bummer, Joe Biden's presidency suffers from historic failure. From Charlie Spearing. There's articles out all over the place, Gateway Pundit, image surfaces of stranded planes filled with Americans at Mazar-e-Sharif Airport in Afghanistan. According to Jim Hoft, Gateway Pundit, Taliban holds planes hostage as Biden State Department blocks departures. An article from Daily Wire, Biden State Department says it has no resources to rescue trapped flight in Afghanistan. No, quote, reliable means, unquote, to confirm the details. So listen to this. The United States of America, whom even under President Trump, the most powerful, feared nation in the world, unlimited resources. Now, the Biden State Department says it has no resources to rescue trapped flights in Afghanistan. That statement alone says it all. When the United States of America doesn't have resources to rescue flights with Americans on them, we're no longer the superpower, are we? We're limited in the basics. We're not omnipotent. We're not God. Obviously, we have a lot of issues. But the fact that our State Department says, no planes, you can't leave, and we don't have the resources to even do anything about it, and we don't have any reliable means to confirm what's actually going on. What? China is reportedly flying into Taiwan's airspace. Just no one's going to stop us. China's like, United States who? Well, this article says here that President Joe Biden is failing on nearly every single major issue for Americans as support for his presidency continues to drop. There's even outbreaks taking place around sporting events and events throughout the country where they're basically saying F Biden, F Biden, F Biden. He just got 13 of our military people killed. And yet Milley and the generals, the TV generals working under working under Biden, they're synonymous, said, yeah, what you just saw take place in Afghanistan was very well thought out. Seriously? Huh. How's that working out for anybody that actually loves America, cares about sovereignty? This article says Biden's badly botched crisis in Afghanistan is still generating bad headlines as stranded Americans try to leave the country after Biden withdrew all the military forces from Kabul. Americans supported the decision to exit, but President's execution of the mission resulting in the deaths of 13 American service members left the country dissatisfied. 53% of Americans believe that Biden is personally responsible for the deaths of those 13 people. More than half the country. Americans have also lost confidence in his handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Despite declaring, quote, independence, unquote, over the coronavirus and a, quote, summer of freedom, unquote, for Americans in July, Biden surrendered after the rise of the cases fueled by the Delta variant of the virus led federal health officials to level additional restrictions back on people. And Joe's on vacation again. Joe's been home 16 times taking a break. Joe won't tell people who he's talking to. The White House said that right out of the chute, Joe was consulting frequently with Barack Obama. The Great Reset said basically the world has to focus on climate change, not on capitalism, not on the standard economy, because that's dead, and that social justice needs to be elevated. Abortion, like Biden said last week, all hands on deck. We have to figure out how to stop Texas from limiting the number of babies that are killed after their heart's beating. All hands on deck. I'm going back on vacation. I'm going to go celebrate Labor Day. I need a break. But Joe, you just got off of vacation. Remember your vacationing when Afghanistan fell apart? I better take another vacation. Before I forget, my sponsors for the podcast, you heard the promos earlier. I always do this because this is about helping people. Sometimes I forget about I got to actually pay the bills too. MyPillow.com. You heard the commercial. Make sure when you get over to MyPillow.com, he's got huge deals going on. If you want to save up to 66%, make sure when you get to MyPillow.com, you use our promo code FLS for Liberty's sake, FLS. Those 3 letters will save you up to 66%. MyPillow.com. Sponsor 1. Sponsor 2 is Freedom Phone. It's just like an Android phone. If you're tired of big tech being able to track you, track where you're going with your phone and keeping track of the information, switch over to Freedom Phone. It's just like you're using now, except it'll be secure using their own operating system, Freedom iOS, their Freedom operating system. You want to go to freedomphone.com, use the promo code SAVE. Simple. SAVE will save you up to $50 if you get a Freedom Phone today. Freedomphone.com. SAVE is a promo code. All right. So Biden's struggling. But here is my question before we go to the last break. 2 questions. Number 1, do you think he cares that people are getting hurt because of his decisions? And number 2, are these accidents or are the way things are going intentional? Is Joe mismanaging out of ignorance? Or did Joe want Afghanistan to go this way? If you tie it all together, I'm going to give you my opinion. You may disagree with it in the end, but I think a lot of this is on purpose. I don't think it's conspiracy either. Thanks again for listening. This is Eric Thompson. This is For Liberty's Sake. I'll be right back.
Two hard-working entrepreneurs, but recently business has been slow. The idea of launching an online store has crossed their minds, but the thought of designing, building, and managing an e-commerce website is a bit overwhelming. Luckily, Sue recently heard about ShopToTheRight.com, a new website where she can list and sell her products without the hassle of maintaining her own website. Best of all, Shop to the Right already has shoppers ready to buy her products. ShopToTheRight.com is dedicated to connecting freedom-loving Americans and business owners. Learn more today at ShopToTheRight.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest-growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com right now to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you can get my premium MyPillows, regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, the lowest price ever.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
And again, when you get to MyPillow, use our promo code FLS. We'll save you up to 66% and get you the great deals Mike was just talking about. Promo code FLS at MyPillow.com.
Name one time in history where the people who banned books, media, and opinions were the good guys. Hi, I'm Eric. I'm the world's youngest Bitcoin millionaire. I made it in Silicon Valley, and I've accomplished a lot in my life already. But now, I'm leaving big tech to fight for free speech. Because the big tech overlords are violating your privacy, censoring your speech, and I think that's so wrong. That's why I created the Freedom Phone and its uncensorable app store. Everyone is complaining about big tech censorship, but no one is doing anything about it. They say, build your own phone. So I did. Freedom Phone truly is the best phone in the world. It does everything your current phone does, except censor you and spy on you. With the Freedom Phone, your freedom of speech is our #1 priority. That's why we built our own app store that is completely uncensored. If an app you love has been banned from the mainstream app stores, you can still download it on ours, because we don't ban apps, period. And we've developed the first operating system based on your free speech. There's no app tracking, no keyboard tracking, and no location tracking, because I believe in your security. How do we ensure you're being protected? Say hello to Trust. Trust is our privacy guard. It's designed to warn you whenever an app or a website is tracking you, and gives you the option to stop it. Your data, your rules. That's our motto. The Freedom Phone is comparable to the best smartphones on the market. It has an edge-to-edge screen, a super fast processor, and multiple cameras. And your SIM card transfers into the Freedom Phone seamlessly. Big tech companies hold a monopoly on public communication and the dissemination of information, and they are abusing that power. Nobody elected Mark or Jack to be the arbiters of truth in America, yet they still thought it was okay to ban a sitting president from their platforms. If they censor a president, they will censor anyone. Imagine if Mark Zuckerberg censored MLK or Abraham Lincoln. The course of history would have been altered forever. Out of all the constitutional amendments, there's a reason why the Founding Fathers made the right to free speech the very first. I believe you have a voice that deserves to be heard without being censored. Protect yourself from big tech censorship. Let your voice be heard. Live free with the Freedom Phone.
Thank you so much for staying with me. This is For Liberty's Sake. Again, if you're just joining me, promo code again over there for freedomphone.com. Make sure you use promo code SAVE. Save up to $50. Actually, save $50. Awesome phones, just like what you're using now, but not going to be tracked anymore by Google and Apple. Freedomphone.com, promo code SAVE. And over at mypillow.com, promo code is FLS, For Liberty's Sake FLS, at checkout. All right, let's continue here as we close out our podcast here. So Joe's having a terrible summer. We know how Afghanistan is still a disaster while Joe is on vacation. We know that COVID has gone south. He thought he had victory on it. And intentionally or unintentionally, I'm going to wrap this together. Either way, they're now pushing the Delta variant, and possibly now Fauci's out there adding a third possible Mu variant that could be coming, because I think there's something behind all this. Also, immigration. If you look at what the administration says they want to do, because we know we know that Obama wanted a lot of people pouring in the country. The Chamber of Commerce wants a lot of people pouring in the country. The Koch brothers, they want cheap labor, because they don't care about America, the idea of America. So he's failing on immigration. Also, says this article from Breitbart, Biden continues failing on the issues of the border security as record numbers of migrants and unattended children continue crossing into the U.S. Even during the hottest months of the summer, migrant encounters at the southern border are up at a 21-year high. Most foreigners believe that Biden will allow them to remain in the U.S. because over 100 countries have had people come across with the 2 million or so illegals that have poured across our border, and those are the ones they've actually... See, they only get 30, 40% of them that actually come across and get them and document them. Of those, we know that over 100 different countries are pouring across, and most of them believe they're going to be allowed to stay. Historically low job numbers. The unemployment numbers for black community especially is plummeting. Inflation's up 4.2%. Consumer confidence is low. And because of everything else, and because the Americans know that the the Democrats are trying to push through social justice, everything on their laundry list of Marxism. Joe Manchin and Sinema in the Democratic Senate are holding up his huge, massive $6 trillion worth of spending, amnesty, and everything else. So Joe's having a terrible summer. But let me ask you a question. Let me ask you again. Do you think Joe Biden wants unlimited numbers of people pouring across the border? Do you think Joe Biden wanted to get out of Afghanistan regardless of what happened to anybody? And he doesn't care that he left people behind. Is it possible that in his agreement with China, that China wanted to get the natural resources and mineral rights out of Afghanistan so that he basically pulled out, armed the Taliban with billions of dollars worth of our military gear, and now China is already talking to the Taliban about helping them with the COVID crisis and everything else, and then they'll say, "Well, we'll help you build out the infrastructure," and then we just need to be able to have the rights to go pull out all the natural resources, all the minerals. Could it be that? Could Joe be doing this to help China? We don't know for sure. We know the fallout of Joe's decisions. Again, from Gateway Pundit. How is this possible? Image surfaces of stranded planes filled with Americans at Mazar-e-Sharif Airport in Afghanistan. Taliban holds planes hostage. From Jim Hoft of Gateway Pundit. State Department suspended all operations in Afghanistan on October 31st. The administration withdrew all personnel from Afghanistan. If you're stranded in the country of Doha, Qatar embassy, they'll assist you. Just got to get there. Good luck. As he said, as reported earlier, the Taliban is holding 6 planes filled with Americans and Afghan SIBs hostage in northern Afghanistan. Several retired special forces and U.S. veterans traveled to Afghanistan to rescue and bring people home that Biden left stranded. But the planes can't take off unless the Taliban clears them, which can easily be handled with a phone call. Via Babak Tahabia. And it seems they are hostages now. Satellite images taken by Maxar shows 2 Airbus 3 A340Ss and 4 Boeing 737s at the airport are not being allowed to leave. And here is Representative McCall saying that Americans and Afghan interpreters have been held hostage. This is a U.S. House member from Texas.
Since we left the country on Friday, how many Americans have gotten out of Afghanistan since we pulled out? How many Afghan allies have gotten out since the Taliban was in complete control of the country?
I understand. 0. And in fact, we have 6 airplanes at Mazar-Sharif Airport, 6 airplanes with American citizens on them as I speak, also with these interpreters, and the Taliban is holding them hostage for demands right now. The state has cleared these flights, and the Taliban will not let them leave the airport. So I'm sorry, the answer to your question is 0. And that's my concern, is they're going to demand more and more, whether it be cash or legitimacy, as the government of Afghanistan.
Let me pick up on this because I didn't know this. You're saying that there are Americans on airplanes ready to fly out of Afghanistan right now, and they're not being allowed out because Taliban is making demands. What demands are the Taliban making?
Well, they are not clearing the airplanes to depart. They've sat at the airport for the last couple of days, these planes, and they're not allowed to leave. We know the reason why is because the Taliban wants something in exchange. This is really, Chris, turning into a hostage situation where they're not going to allow American citizens to leave until they get full recognition from the United States of America. My concern is that Zal Khalilzad, our special envoy, who's met with the Taliban, they're in talks right now, and I think I worry his recommendation to the administration will be to recognize the Taliban as the official government of the United States, a Taliban organization that is a terrorist organization.
Oh, there you go. How about some hostage situation here? This article continues, but the Biden State Department is refusing to act and American lives are in danger. Free of Fox News. Rick Clay, who runs the private security group Plan B, told Fox News that the State Department is the only thing preventing the flights he's organizing from leaving Afghanistan. 2 other American individuals separately involved in execution efforts, whom Fox is not naming to avoid jeopardizing ongoing rescue efforts, similarly said the State Department is the sole entity preventing their charter flights from leaving Afghanistan. Why? Oh, okay, guys. This is what I think's happening, and you can Joe's team. All right, China needs to get in there. Oh, did I say that? I shouldn't have said that. Okay, well, you guys are in. We're not gonna do anything, and you just don't let the planes leave, and then we're gonna give you more money and more stuff, and we're gonna recognize you as a government, and then China is gonna come in and help you with COVID and take all your minerals. Okay, ready, break. So I think's happening. See, just a reminder, the way it should have gone, the way it would have gone under President Trump, is that the Americans and the Afghanis with these special visas, these visas, SIV visas, basically said that because of the emergency, because you worked with us, we're going to give you this visa to get out, and you've been cleared, and you're going to be able to leave with us because you basically are part of our team. And so Trump would have said, okay, you guys are all out. We're going to be, and because Trump said he didn't want to leave a pin behind. We're going to start flying out our tanks and all of our airplanes. We're going to start flying everything out while we have control of all the airports. And once all that's out, embassies closed, everything's closed, and you start to pull out the troops. You do your final flight, and then you've tried, and you've been blasting the Taliban, blasting Al Qaeda, ISIS, blasting them, and you just kept telling the Afghani government, that Gandhi, we're leaving. And at that point, if everything's gone, everybody's out, and we've done all we can, it's up to the Afghanis to be responsible for their country, and whatever happened. Instead, Biden's like, pull them out, pull the troops. Okay, but what about the people? Pull out. Oh man, there's tens of thousands of people. Put them in. Okay, well, 13 troops are dead. Pull them out. Okay, but we're leaving people behind. I don't care. So Glenn Beck and all these private groups, Plan B, come in. And Taliban's like, you're not leaving. Because we control the airports. Because you guys abandoned the airports. We're controlling them. And you just heard Representative McCall from Texas. They're basically holding us hostage. Holding our people hostage. So when you look over at the State Department, then it's like, okay, well, was the article from Daily Wire. Biden State Department says it has no response to rescue no resources to rescue the trapped flights in Afghanistan. From Emily Zanotti, responding to claims that it's blocking flights carrying Americans and lawful permanent residents, LPRs, from leaving Mazar-e-Sharif Airport in Afghanistan. The Biden administration State Department reportedly admitted that it has few resources available to facilitate the evacuation, and they have no reliable information about the trapped flights. Daily Wire noted Sunday there are conflicting reports as to who is preventing the planes carrying individuals rescued by non-governmental agencies, NGOs, from taking off. Individuals associated with the organization handling the flight said the State Department is the only obstacle. Why? What do you think? The State Department, the Department of Defense, all these groups that deal with foreign issues, CIA and all that. It's like, you remember in Benghazi when the SEALs wanted to go, or the former SEALs wanted to go over and save our embassy? What were they told? Stand down, stand down, stand down. What do you think the troops were told that were inside the gates at the airport when they were watching people getting beaten and killed outside the gates? Stand down. You cannot leave and go help. You cannot extend the perimeter. You cannot go out door to door and save Americans. You can't evacuate them. Nope. You can't extract anybody. If you're in the gate, because we're leaving. Yeah, what about the people? Stand down. That's not America, but that's globalism. That's not patriotic heroism. That is the Great Reset. Because the plan is that America needs to diminish. They need to get out of the way. They need to go home. They need to allow people to have a say in what corporations do. They need to quit having such an influence on the world. So here we are, Labor Day. And I'm going to when I bring it all together, because I'm going to be stressing this moving forward, we can't look at every single thing that's happening all day because it never ends. The main thing is, with the information I just gave you, your responsibility, if you're Christian, is to pray and to connect with people that think the way that we think. And then you need to be working with your senators and your House members, state senators, and locally. And every day when you get your information, you need to go to work for the sake of righteousness in America, in working through enforcing your representatives to represent you. Because in a patriotic world, Trump this wouldn't have happened if our planes are being stalled, our special forces would be going in, and we would be killing a lot of people, and people would be getting freed because it's unjust what's happening at the airport. We sure would not be letting China buddy up with Afghanistan to come in now, strip the resources, and continue to grow. China keeps flying over the airspace in Taiwan, in the air defense zone. The U.S. doesn't do anything. Because what China says is America gets weaker, we will go take Taiwan, Hong Kong. We're any people and anywhere that has an issue with our communism, we're just going to go and take them. We're going to suppress them. We're going to imprison them. If the U.S. is not leading, then the world is falling. But that's not our responsibility. Our responsibility is home first, work through for liberty's sake, make sure that we're doing things that will allow our future to be bright, and then when possible, help the world. But we cannot be part of globalism, because the only way you do that is the world collapses in a geopolitical sense, and at home we then collapse because we've lost our morality, we've lost our individualism, and we are a bunch of collective zombies under the power of communism. And that is what the left is hoping for. And that is what the Great Reset is about. And that is why we got to fight it. So thank you again for listening. This has been For Liberty's Sake. My name is Eric Thompson again. MyPillow.com. Use the promo code FLS to save 66%. FreedomPhone.com. Use the promo code SAVE to save $50. Make sure you check out my podcast, my social media platforms, website for libertysake.com. You guys have a great day. Get involved, and I'll see you tomorrow.